Jermaine Pennant has explained why he didn't enjoy playing for boring Rafa Benitez. The winger, who was managed by Benitez at Liverpool between 2006 and 2009, admits the Spaniard is a real tactician, praising his incredible attention to detail when assessing the opposition. But he says the level of tactical work made training boring and that his old boss would drive a player mad during games by constantly shouting instructions. Pennant, writing in his book, Mental, Bad Behavior, Ugly Truths and the Beautiful Game, also describes Benitez as the most difficult manager he played for. He criticized the Champions League winning boss over his lack of man management skills, claiming he only ever had one proper conversation with him. That exchange took place just days into his Liverpool career and involved Benitez asking him to write down his misdemeanors and faults. Pennant simply wrote "girls" in capital letters, and it was downhill for him from there. Commenting on Benitez's touchline instructions, he said, "On the pitch, often I can see what's best. Ultimately you have to trust the players once they cross the white line. But with Rafa, it was constant directions. Just sometimes, he might as well have turned a player into an Xbox, dressed me up like RoboCop and put a picture of my face on it. I'm not a defensive midfielder. I'm not James Milner, who keeps it simple. I'm a flair player and do my own thing." But his constant instructions really restricted me. They stopped me from being free. He could never let me do my thing. When you have so many instructions, it makes it so difficult. You've got some instructions and tactics in your mind and yet he's shouting even more at you. All of a sudden you're confused. You've got two sets of instructions in your mind and you're left wondering what to do. It means that, suddenly, you mess up with a simple pass because your mind is all over the place. Honestly, Rafa was a nightmare like that. Explaining why Benitez was his most difficult manager, Pennant says he could get too clever with his tactics, adding that training was often dull. He said, "There were times when I would get so angry about how boring and repetitive training was that I would just lose it and shout, 'For fuck's sake, just give us a bit of a five-a-side.' As a player, you just want a bit of fun, to make training good and lively. But, with Rafa, the training was so boring that you'd come in and all you'd want to do was slit your wrists. The amount of time in training that we'd do shape, tactics and nothing else." While he never had a full-on row with Benitez, he feels he'd have benefited from and appreciated more individual feedback from his boss. He added, "With Rafa, it is all about himself. It was either his way or no way. The man management was down to his staff. That was why, when Paco Aguilar and nightmare&quot, his assistant, went, they had a parting of the ways and things started to go downhill a bit." Pennant also played for clubs including Arsenal, Birmingham, and Stoke. The 35-year-old, who is now married to glamour model Alice Goodwin, also opens up about his wild womanizing and turbulent upbringing in his Warts and All book.